We are with David Weinberger, one of my most famous philosopher and opinion makers of the internet. And thank you, David, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
My first question is, of course, about the elevator. You spoke about what happens in the elevator as a metaphor of the social spaces. Can you tell us something more about that?
Oh, the idea is very simple. It's that if you invented the elevator, if you actually were the inventor of the elevator, and then you tried to predict what the social norms would be, how people would behave in elevators, you very likely would fail. Your elevator would go up and down, it would work, but the fact that, at least in the US, everybody in an elevator stands facing forward, silently, looking just above the head of the person in front of them, and standing that way for the entire trip, I don't think that's predictable. It may be different in different cultures, and so when you create a social space that's more complex than an elevator, for example, a social network, you make some decisions as the inventor of it about what you think people will do and how they'll use it and what the levels of privacy will be and what the relationships are. But you inevitably will get wrong. You will not be able to predict how people will actually use it, what the norms will be.
One of the great strengths of the internet is its openness. As an open environment for experimentation and starting up new ventures and so on. Do you think that the mobile web will have the same level of openness, and how will it be?
Probably not the same level of openness, no, because the networks, the mobile networks, are owned in a way that the internet isn't. And especially given the elevator idea, that makes it more difficult for the social networks to succeed. Now, some will, of course, but one of the great advantages of the net as an open environment is that people can try out new ways of doing things, slight variations, until one of them turns out to succeed in a way that was unpredictable. Twitter has succeeded. If Twitter changed even a small bit of how it works, it's, for example, in Twitter, the people who you read, who you subscribe to, don't necessarily subscribe to you, so there's an asymmetry. Well, apparently that works because Twitter has become quite popular. If Twitter had made a different decision, maybe it wouldn't have worked. On the net, we can have all of these different attempts, all these different tries, and get it right, get it wrong. On a network that's owned, it's much harder to have that sort of rapid innovation. So it's harder to succeed.
How the mobile usage can add something new to the internet experience?
It's so different than sitting with your laptop. The fact that it's always with you, that you can use it in between doing other things, or frequently while you see a lot of people using their mobile on the internet as they walk down the street, so you can do it while doing other things. The fact that it knows about where you are, that increasingly will know about the environment that it's in, that has access to all the information on the web about a particular place, but as they become more and more sensors, sensing devices will be added. They'll know more about the environment in real time. That's an enormous, not only an enormous amount of information, but it's information that's directly relevant frequently to your lived life in the real world. So there's a tremendous, and all this information, by the way, can be aggregated. So we can learn much more about our world and our movement through the world just along the way. So this is a tremendously important addition to the internet. We have many, many, many unanswered questions. How much like the internet it will remain, given that the networks tend to be owned and proprietary. But it extends the reach of the internet economically and geographically in terms of the amount of information that we have access to at any one moment.
At the end, also the mobile will be just another tool for remaining in contact with our friends, is it?
No, I don't think so. So we don't know what at the end will be. We don't know physically what the shape of the mobiles will be. We don't know ultimately what effect they will have. So one of the things that we have mobiles that integrate MP3 players, music and telephony and internet. We don't yet have them that integrate reading, book reading. I'm sorry, even the best of them are not really very good at reading books yet. That has the potential to change things also. So, and then we don't know what else will change it. So at the end, we don't know what the end is, not even close. But it's very clear to me anyway that it's not simply a way of staying in touch with friends. That's a big deal, but it actually does much, much more than that. If, for example, as many have predicted, and increasingly this is becoming possible, when you go down the street, it knows where you are because of GPS. It can also then find all of the geo-coded information and show you more overlays and overlays about your world. And some of that overlay will be commercial. It will be advertisements and marketing, but a lot of it will be what we have developed socially about the places we inhabit. And that sort of integration between the virtual and the real is also, just as staying in touch with your friends is a big deal, so is changing the nature of what it means to be in a place. To be in a place becomes, with the ubiquitous device, means being able to find out everything that humans have learned about a place or said about a place or felt about a place. That's a very big change in the nature of place. So,
thank you very much, David. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you.
thanks.
Don't forget your mobile.